share a direction that I would like to take in this live. It's going to be a little bit different than we're used to, but I feel like it was getting maybe a little stale or maybe a little dull. Maybe the delivery wasn't what I wanted it to be. So I think I want to flip a little bit in the way that I'm putting out these lives. I want to put the information out in a slightly different way. So what I want to do is first, whether you're watching this before the live, during the live, or that you're watching this after the live's already been put out by YouTube, I greatly appreciate your continued dedication to this community, allowing me to get not only my voice out, but allowing others to be able to see this content. I appreciate the fact that you've allowed me almost 4.5 years to build this community up, and now we have a reach of just over 47,000 people. And if you are watching, please try to hit that like button if it's possible, so that we can help continue to push this out. I've been stuck in a little bit of a shadow ban scenario, but nothing that we can't deal with. So I do really thank each and every one of you for watching, for pushing the content, for having the mentality of prosperity for all. Instead of just focusing on just ourselves, we create an abundance and we try to create it for each and every one of us. And remember, some people are in day 1 in here, and some people are day 1,000 and beyond. So our skill level is going to be different, but we need to approach each other with the understanding, have some integrity, and show that humility to each other so that we can help build a prosperous community. So what I want to do today is we'll look at the XRP chart, but after we get through as we're looking at the XRP chart, I want to go back and forth with the liquidation heat map so that we can look at some evidence within why the chart might be pointing one way or the other. And I'd like to start looking at the heat liquidation map as we go through assets to try to show us kind of where we have some kind of liquidity zone. I've also want to go through, as we're going through the assets, and talk about what's happened to the crypto traders during this past day or so, and how there's been a substantial amount of liquidation already burned and lost by not just retail, but anybody in the market, and what it could mean going forward. But I want to start to put a little bit more data, not just within on the chart, but also looking at like the liquidation zone so that we can see where there might be more of a prolonged attempt to hit a certain zone, and maybe why that we would hit a certain spot. Start putting a more dedicated focus on the news and less focus on, hey, we said this, we said that, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? We got to go forward, and it doesn't really matter what happened yesterday. It only matters what we do today and what we do for tomorrow. So with that being said, good morning. 10:32 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So as we can see right now in the market, crypto, a tiny bit up, little flat, had a little bit of a move, but it's since come back down slightly. If you go through from the top of the market, just so we can try to get a fundamental understanding, we got the Dow up 204 points right now. S&P's dropped off now, and it's down about a point. It was up, but now it's flipped. NASDAQ was up as well, and now it's down 55 points. So definitely, ever since Trump started talking, the NASDAQ flipped big time. Looks like it could be putting in a head and shoulders, so that's interesting. So we definitely need to watch that going forward. We've got LAES was up 5.5%, and it's completely reversed back down to a 0.75% loss. U.S. 10-year bonds down 0.1, so pretty flat at 4.14. DXY's flat at 97.335, been there for a little bit. Gold silver ratio is up just over 0.25% at 85.2. And then we've got gold up 28. And what's interesting with gold, and we're going to get into XRP, I just want to show a market setup real quick. But what's interesting with gold is, yeah, we're oversold in the 4-hourly in a pretty big way, but look where the daily's at. The daily's just breaking back into a bullish push again. It just broke through the trend line. So this is very interesting how there's so much room in the stochastic in the daily, but how far gold's gone. Barrett's up about 0.5%. B2 gold's approaching that $5 level, just under 4%. Silver's up over 0.5%. Holding on to that 44 handle, which is very important for this next quick surge to $50, if it's going to happen quickly. Pan America Silver up 2%, just pushed over 38. First Majestic's up just over 1%, over 12. Well, it's holding on to $12 now. Fortuna Silver Mines up just over 1.25%, up over 860. Hecla's pretty flat. It was down about 1.5%. I think it hit almost 2%. It's eked up those losses. Still hanging on to $11, which is good to see. Silver Corp continues its impressive run, but for good reason. They announced that they were going to buy back yesterday, which is unbelievable when you think about it. I forgot to mention it yesterday. Silver Corp mentioned they're going to buy back common shares of what, it's a substantial amount. They're buying back 4% of their outstanding common shares that they can technically use to take money, you know, and inflate their own holdings. But they said that basically they said that the stock is way too cheap right now, and they're going to buy back 4% of the common shares. It's a substantial amount. So it's pretty awesome. Up over almost 4% now. Sitting firmly over $6. Got to be some kind of correction coming. And all of these, at least a small one somewhere. Dolly Varden up 1.94%. Getting closer to $5 now. So I anticipate some kind of correction. But Jesus Lord, if they just keep on moving. So XRP, as we can see, sits at $2.85.7 this morning. Up about 0.12%. Nothing major here this morning at all. Nothing major. But the chart, you know, we're still stuck in a very dangerous level for trying to break up and out, trying to go and get that $5 plus and start to push into more of those areas. We're finding ourselves lackadaisical. We still have that death cross in the 4-hourly. We haven't had that big volume push. What we've been expecting over the last 24 hours or 36 hours now since the drop, the bigger part of the drop, is the fact that we should come up and retest this higher drop point, which is somewhere around $2.90. We came up close. We haven't quite hit there, but this could straggle back down. If it takes a little bit longer, this will straggle through. And you'll start to see us, you know, that 4-hour time frame, this 20-day will start coming down lower and lower every candle close. And we'll end up just having to deal with those repercussions. So that's something we would have to see. It still isn't a bearish proposition here as far as in the micro, which it's not very fun when you start seeing it in this kind of a setup. But it happens. It happens, you know, we're in a structural time when things like this do happen. And overall, we're still very good. But in the micro, it still has this optic where we could drop out to $1.77. You know, and that's the way it goes, you know, with the market. Sometimes you're fluctuating up, sometimes you're consolidating down, trying to find these stronger thresholds so that we can have a more profound push up. Right now, we're not in those areas. So we kind of get caught in this catch-22 where we're overextended right now unless we get some kind of catalyst in crypto. And the biggest catalyst we can get is we would get not only rate cuts, but we would get quantitative easing. Once we get quantitative easing, this sector is going to absolutely go ballistic. But until then, quantitative easing and it's just on its own isn't going to be able to just hold us, so to say. It's not going to be able to just on its own bring us up unless we start getting 3/4 of a basis point cuts, like 0.75, 100 basis points. That's what we would need to give us that, you know, unanimous push up. But without that, it's a struggle. You know, it's a big struggle. We are becoming rather oversold in the daily and the stochastic, but we're stuck within this consolidation. We just need some kind of catalyst here that can help us surge. The one other problem is let's just say the outward appeal of crypto right now. A lot of retail is starting to give up. A lot of people are starting to kind of lose faith now because they're looking at it and saying, well, I built up all this good animosity, you know, all of this. I waited for this time. I keep thinking that once we get a rate cut, it's going to go down. At least that's what I've been, and things like this, just to see to no avail. Nothing ever really comes of it. So a lot of retail is starting to lose that edge for crypto right now. And they're like, well, if none of these things are allowing it to go up, what is really going to make the move? So what we want to see is less and less people showing interest. We don't want to see as many people coming on and being like, we're going to 10,000. This is the way. We want to see more and more people start to talk trash. We want to see less people showing interest in just the space as a whole. We want to start to see the metrics pointing to a direction where, you know, retail interest is at an all-time low. You know, when we start fading back in that direction, that's when we'll start to see that significant catalyst going up. And we're starting to see that. As the weeks go on, less and less and less people are showing interest for the sector. I know all of you can tell the difference. When we're in a parabolic spike or in a zone where people just don't know and they just honestly don't care anymore. Or because we're in a risk asset, they just don't have the funds, and that's okay. I'm finding more of a comfort zone seeing 75 people in a live, 50 people in a live. I remember how cool it was to have a more direct approach with so many people because you can talk to more individuals. It doesn't move as fast in chat, so we can focus. It's a weird thing, but now I'm starting to feel we're starting to get closer. There's not as many people that are getting overzealously excited. And now the people that are coming in, you know, even if they have a very profound love for crypto, even for the veteran crypto people that are losing interest. That's the scary part right now. A lot of people that used to be, no matter what, I'll be a part of this sector. Now they're holding and saying, I don't really want to even see anything about it for now. I'm getting a little worn out in the topic. It's been a little much now. Then people will be very interested, but then they see like the exchanges are messing with them a little bit. They're seeing how they're just saying this isn't worth it. There's other opportunities. And that's what you want. We want to see the interest start to go down even amongst holders themselves, because it's once that market starts to die. Like, listen, the interest in crypto is still there. It's just going dormant for now. Until we get some kind of revolutionary 30% across the board move. Watch how quickly interest comes right back in. You know, so that's what we're looking at. It takes time, folks. Like, it takes time. But it's all about that mentality. There's a reason why gold, silver, commodities, mining stocks in particular are just going bonkers right now. Nobody's talking it. Nobody cares about it. They like to attack the sectors. Everybody right now, they were conditioned to crypto. It has to do this, has to do that, has to do this. To the point that now they're allocating percentages of their retirement portfolios, their 401ks, to have crypto in it. You know, it's an interesting time. So just focusing on the chart and keeping this within the confines of what we're talking about, not focusing on everything else. With XRP, the general dynamic here is we've got to get over 289. And we did for a brief moment. We got up to 293 or so, 292. And then we immediately pushed back down. Well, maybe not 293 because that was down here after the... Well, we did because we came through the immediate pull down, came back up and ended up surging back down. But, you know, if you talk about after we came back down, we haven't been able to quite topple back over 289. 3 hourly, we're meeting the resistance right now, which is in an interesting spot. 2 hourly, we're definitely meeting that 2 hour resistance. So that's the first area we'd have to get over. 2 hourly's overbought, but I don't really put a lot of stock because that can clear out. And in a 1% candle down, that can clear a lot of that 2 hourly. But when you look at the 4 hourly, it's definitely still moving up. So, but once you get past neutral, we start to form an opinion. The one thing that is still very mystifying here is the volume. And it's not just XRP, so don't make me think, or don't think that I'm just criticizing XRP. It's just and it's not even a criticism. It's just there's no volume. So when you start to look at it from a basic fundamental standpoint, rising price, crashing volume is always a recipe for a continuation to the other side. So you need to see some volume to, you know, at least give us some kind of reasoning why this is going up. What this looks like now is it's exhausting itself. So we had a significant push down. We ended up forcing ourselves back within this pattern consolidation. And we came to support. People see the support and they buy it. But it hasn't given us any volume on the return. We need some volume. A volume spike here would be critical. It hasn't happened as of right now. Now, when we look at what the potential is, not just the 294, the 289 resistance areas, but as far as liquidity, what is the liquidity zones telling us right now? And in the 3-day liquidity, I mean, we've got some liquidity that we're tapping, getting close to 290, 291. We got a little bit more around 301. But if we're looking for bigger pockets of liquidity, and this is something I'm going to start doing a better job of, as we're going through the chart, I'm going to focus more on XRP. Like, I love looking at all the other charts, but damn it, I like focusing on XRP and building up a very long dialogue. And if we go a half hour, 40 minutes through XRP and like the liquidations through crypto and things like that, and then start talking about everything else, I'll be happy. Need to get a more profound focus on more XRP, less everything else. Does that make sense? Well, gold is in the futures $3,800, yes. But right now, outside the futures, it's at 3,772. Remarkable, yes. Super remarkable. But anyhow, getting back to what I was saying. So more focus on XRP so we can continue to build the narrative. And I'm not saying everybody's losing the interest. I'm not losing interest. There's 73 of you in here right now that aren't losing interest. Some are getting lower, but it's just a general what you want to see that though. You want to see public interest fading. You want people to start fading crypto because once they start fading it to a certain extent, then it starts to be the play. You don't want everybody using it as their saving grace. But anyhow, so in the 1 month, we don't really have many liquidation zones near us in either direction. So we're kind of stuck in no man's land. Even in the liquidity, we cleared it out both sides. Now, if you come up to $3.15, you've got minute liquidity. So now, because we've cleared out in that sense, let's go to the 2-week. So in the 2-week time frame, if we go into liquidity heat map, we can see, again, there's not much over at 314. Again, in that area, we've got some about 118 million. It's not overwhelming. The overwhelming was over here. I mean, it's not crazy. There's not a crazy buildup right now of liquidity in either direction. In this zone, in these zones, okay? 3-day, I probably should have went to the weekly first, but the 3-day liquidity zone for XRP builds a little bit. Got small pockets here over the top. And it makes sense where they're at over the top. Think about it. 295 was that major resistance we have to get over in the consolidation of the pattern. In a smaller time frame, 291 makes sense in this area because this is where you have to push over 289 to break out past the first area of resistance. So basically it goes 289, 295, 298, 306, 316 to 18, 330. These are the ranges when you get to resistance over the top. Underneath the support structures, it's basic at this point. That 269 is the biggest area. 278 is another very strong area. But for support, I mean, it's pretty simple. Because we know the resistance 289 as we spoke of. 295 on this one, as you can see. We got to get through. But when you start talking about the support, it's to me that $2.70, but now it's going to overextend. As we continue going farther, we're going to have to move this down, and it starts to become a little bit lower. So 266 maybe. Yeah, it's funny how it's 666. But there's still room in the 4-hourly. It's just, you know, it's just not cooperating right now with volume. There's still room, though. Like, don't get it wrong. There's room. We're about to pull a dot cross here in the daily, which we don't really want to do. Or, I mean, a bearish cross, which we don't really want to do. Because that starts to build up, like, towards the dot crosses in the 2-hour, 3-hour, 4-hour, how that's already built. Once you get rejected there, then it's going to start building it in the daily. And then that's going to inevitably bring you back down. And we don't often see these wicks not fill out. Because those are exhaustion wicks. You usually melt back down towards that bottom of the wick at some point. And then if you've got a, let's just say a cluster of buyers, then you can use this as a support floor. If there's no buyers there, it'll simply fall through, and then it can start heading down to possible technical targets if it fell through. And that makes sense because it's the cup and handle, and it would be the back test of the handle breakdown or breakout. But big cup, big handle, big breakout, break back down to breakout, and back test that huge handle. Lord have mercy if that happened. We would have so much built up aggression. We would probably go parabolic right after. That's the perfect scenario. But it also, you gotta keep interest. You know, you gotta find a way to stay motivated. One way to stay motivated would be to join the Telegram. It's a beautiful community made up of 470. What is it right now? 400. Whoops. And 78 members. Beautiful members. A lot of cool stuff in here. Just a lot of stuff. Yeah, I would definitely join that. It's getting deeper because I'm starting back with copy trading because we can do it on WEEX. And that's going to be XDC more than likely when I finally buy it with the community. We did a test yesterday and it worked flawlessly with XDC, the buy and sell. IOTA I tried, but it didn't work. And it turns out in the USA I can't copy trade that. But there is a lot of other things we can do as well. But that's what I'm starting with. So, you know, join it. Join the fun. Join Tom's Army. It's in the description below. Pay it forward to me, the community, and allow me to continue, which I've done for 4.5 years, to put this content out for free. If you find yourself inclined, you can always send a YouTube super chat to show support. But really, I really need the like, the share, and the continued dedication by each and every one of you so that when we get into the time of a big breakout, we're well positioned like we are in commodities and mining stocks and gold and silver, how we've taken full advantage of this entire run by being in before. We need to have that same mindset again with crypto like we've had with XRP getting in at the bear market lows. And how we had the foresight to sell in January. You know, and now it's that we need to reacquire in the proper levels on everything. The reacquiring for IOTA is, I'm not exactly sure where yet. It came down to 1463, so it's dirt cheap. Dirt cheap. But what I'm looking for some of these, and we'll get back to XRP, but this is gonna move into the thing we're about to read with the crypto liquidity. So like with something with IOTA, for our point's sake, in the weekly, we're still moving down. We've cleared out a ton since July. So we're getting into the zone now where I'm feeling a little more comfortable. Now, what I would like to see is this come back down here and support this wick at some point with the understanding that it could push up. But I want to see it show support for what we're seeing. 2 hourly massively oversold now. So we're coming into that first area of rejection with the entire market. So I want to see how we react. And then I want to see if we can break out of these areas that are about 3 to 5% higher, or if we have to come back down to that exhaustion wick. So going back here with XRP, we've looked at that a lot, but since we looked at IOTA, I would like to just very quickly look at the IOTA, and let's see if they have it on here. Sometimes they don't with IOTA. Most of the time they don't, which is kind of it's a joke, but they don't. Yeah, they don't have it with IOTA, so nothing we can do there. So now let's go into the, I want to go into the 12 hourly and see what kind of liquidity XRP is putting up. Ooh, yeah, much more defined liquidity in the daily. So over the top, we've got some liquidity at 296 in the last 24 hours, 25 million. 25 million at 290. 25 million at 281. 22, 21, roughly around there at 275. So we got some liquidity. We've got some liquidity for sure. Lots of liquidity. Lots of liquidity. You know, so it's very tough. Which way does it go, up or down? In the short term, it's a tough call here. Because we are at that first point of rejection. The daily seems to suggest a little bit more over the top at 295 or 290 area and 296, which makes perfect sense because of those next two resistance. And then underneath, we've got some strong liquidity at about 275-ish. So I like that. Keith Morgan, not sure if this helps. I'm not sure what you mean, not sure if this helps. Not sure if what helps. Can you elaborate? I'm just trying to understand your comment. Oh, your link. Gotcha. I was trying to figure out because I'm like, I'm not sure what I said that doesn't work. I want to know. Yep, IOTA liquidation. You're right. My link, IOTA liquidation. Oh, your link. Yeah, if you have a link, share it with me. No. If you have a link for IOTA for liquidations, is that what you're talking about? Just trying. And thanks for being in town for 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Keith, that's why I like to be live, because I get help from the audience. Yeah, share it in here. I absolutely will let you. You can share the link. If you can't share it in here, send it to my email. Hold on. Try to share it in here, and if you can, I'll type my email in here. Keith Morgan, the Cannabis Podcast, McMichael. I'll say hello to everybody who's in here real quick. Thanks for being in town for 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Dan Marginal, good morning, and thanks for being in town for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. I got excited, then I saw 12 hours something. Oh, is that what it said? I was starting 12 hours from now? Ha! Huh. No wonder everybody left. That would make perfect sense. I was wondering what happened in the beginning. John Bugathorpe, welcome, and Miss G Stock, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your second month with the Dusty House Crypto News, along with XRP Lemur. Yes, you're right, Miss G Stott. It was supposed to say that. Miss G Stott, I'm happy to say Silver Court Mining, they said that they're going to buy back 4% of their common shares because they think their price is too cheap. So even after a 17% move yesterday, it's up 4% today, and it's got eyes for $10. It's got eyes for $10. So just be very happy about that, Mrs. G Stott. Let me continue to say hi to everybody. Ben Graham, good morning. Craig Carlson and Amanda, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. William Hayes, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XP Meteor. Mitchell Hines and Matthew Ramelli, good morning. Mr. Talley, welcome in. Where's the best place to buy mining stocks? You can buy them on a lot of different places, but I'm in the USA, and because I use Chase, because I figure they'll be around, I use the JP Morgan trading app. I do it self-directed through my IRA and my self-directing trading account. But you can use Charles Schwab and other ones like that, brokerages that you know are going to be there forever. But I like JP Morgan trading app. I also have used Charles Schwab. There's no problem there. I don't like Robinhood, so I wouldn't use that. But I like the more efficient ones, where you can go deeper and do your own IRAs and things like that. I hope that helps. Umrish, welcome in, along with Anthony Venegas. Good morning. Mark Caston, welcome in, along with Mosey here. Thank you so much for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. And a special shout out to every member of Tom's Army. We have declined by 10% of the members of Tom's Army in the last month. But nonetheless, the ones who remain are a very critical and integral part of what I do, because it allows me to keep this all free, which I'll always do. It just, you know, it's very nice to have the pay it forward mentality, and it allows a model. Crypto Cooter, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor, and also a very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram. I understand crypto interest being low, Crypto Cooter. I understand. And being prepared and showing up every day, it's important, because then you are prepared. Catholic Faith, welcome in. Don't forget to give thanks to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Yahweh and Yahshua, on this beautiful and golden day, that we're all in each other's grace. 6 more weeks would get us to mid-November. That's where we usually have some kind of breakout in crypto in a good way. B. Southtown says Zach Efron, Miles Teller, and Nina DeBrave. We're all at Brad's wedding. Not surprised. Pretty wild. Brad tweeted about BlackRock and price hasn't moved. Yeah, just true that. G. Stott, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your 2nd month with the Dusty's Out House Crypto News. Said, I made a sheesh busy morning. Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. Yeah. I guess it's not letting you share that link, is it, Keith? So here. Send it to my email and I'll talk about it right away once I get it. Syrian, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Bad and a very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram. I was glad to see that you had a very, very good vacation and you feel well rested and ready to get back into this crazy thing we call crypto. But let's read through the true welcome in and thank you so much for being here, my brother. You've been here for a long time. I love seeing you in here. Hopefully the new job search is going good, or at least you're getting some kind of leads. And we look for your further prosperity in the name of our Lord and Savior. Amen. Crypto liquidations hit 1.8 billion in a day. Final flush or more to come. And that was a significant liquidation we faced in the last 24 hours. Nuno, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your second month with the Dusty Dot of Crypto News. And thank you to everybody who stays dedicated even in these times of sorrow with crypto. When a lot of people have lost interest, it's incredible to see 78 beautiful souls in here. It really is. Over 1.8 billion was flushed in one of the year's most significant long liquidation events. And one analyst says Bitcoin dipping back around 103,000 is plausible. Well, that means two analysts think that's possible. Count me in that club. Over-leveraged crypto traders were liquidated out of nearly 2 billion in one of the year's largest market flush outs on Monday, and what some analysts blame on technical factors rather than weakening marketing fundamentals. More than 370,000 traders have been liquidated to the tune of $1.8 billion over the past 24 hours. The majority of those positions that bet on either on Ethereum or Bitcoin, while altcoins also got hammered across the board. The liquidations came as crypto market capitalization tanked by more than 150 billion, falling to a 2-week low of 3.95 trillion. As Bitcoin, now at $112,540, fell below 112,000 on Coinbase. And Ethereum, now at 4,170, fell below 4,150, actually teased the $4,110 level. Its most significant pullback since mid-August. The dust appears to have settled now, with major assets finding temporary support, but there could be more pain to come if previous September corrections are anything to go by. Real Vision founder Raoul Pal said the same thing happens all the time, adding the crypto market is focused on big breakouts, gets levered long ahead of it, it fails at first attempt so everyone gets liquidated. Only then does the actual breakout occur, leaving everyone sidelined. CoinGlass reported that it was the largest long liquidation event of the year. There have been similar liquidation events in late February, early April, and early August when spot markets shed hundreds of billions over a very short period. Researcher Bull Theory blamed the big flush on an excessive imbalance of altcoin leverage compared to Bitcoin. The liquidations for Ethereum topped 500 million, more than double those for long Bitcoin positions. When altcoin leverage gets this extreme, the market doesn't ignore it. One sharp move down triggers cascading liquidations. That's how you flush out weak hands and reset the board. Nasser Akar, Chief Strategy Officer at the CoinW Exchange, said the flush out may present a near-term adjustment rather than a shift in long-term structural bull run. Let me tip this a little bit. I like it better when it's tipped just a little bit so I can see. Near-term adjustment rather than a shift in the long-term structure in a bull run. Or structural bull run. As the path of the future easing remains, supportive for risk-on assets like Bitcoin. The potential dip back to support zone. Meanwhile, blah, 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 that Bitcoin, or the Coin Telegraph, Tony Sycamore, says that Bitcoin hasn't been correlated with tech stocks or gold recently, but this could be largely due to technical factors and it needs more time to correct its stellar gains to the August 125,000 high over the past 12 months and to continue to work off overbought readings. Technically, a dip back into the 100,000 support zone, which includes the 200-day moving average at 103.7K, makes sense. It would flush out a few of the weaker hands and Johnny-come-lately types, and I think set up a nice buying opportunity for a run-up into year-end. Bitcoin had only correlated by corrected by around 13% in early September since its peak in mid-August. The current drop from the all-time high stands at 9.5% despite this week's rout, which is shallow compared to previous bull market year pullbacks. Bitcoin fell in 8 of the past 13 months of September, but still remains up around 4% so far this month. It has historically performed much better in October. So we'll see what happens going forward. But I wanted to read that liquidation. I know, sometimes it's hit or miss. But I'm glad that, we're able to go through this information together nonetheless. If we're looking at more from a Bitcoin perspective to see where we're going as far as the overall landscape with Bitcoin, again, in the 2-hourly, we came to that 2-hour resistance. That we're at the first area we can technically get knocked back down. So that's what we need to pay attention to see if this is our first area of getting annihilated, back down to the bottom. Alice says, can you explain how to copy trade you on WEEX in a proportional fashion? BitUnix used to let you copy as a percentage of holdings. I wasn't aware that it didn't let you do that. I don't know. I can't see it from your end. That's something we would have to talk about more in the Telegram. That's not really for the live purposes. So that's why I encourage you, especially if you're going to copy trade me, join Tom's Army and get in the Telegram, period. So that you can look at it deeper. There's so many steps and things that'll tell you in a more deeper fashion, Alice. Because that's really something, if you're copy trading, you should be in the Telegram and be a supporter of mine. Because it gets a little dicey when things go up and down. But, that's something we'd have to talk more intimately in there about. Just because there's a lot of scammers and people that, it's just a big thing. Craig Carlson, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. Amazing how much your brain pulses watching as a candle drops 30 cents. I know. It is, isn't it, Craig? It's different. And the problem is, each time it happens, you get less and less of a populace that is interested in, focusing on the task at hand, which it's human nature. If you continuously are getting kicked in the nuts, eventually, you're gonna stop looking in that direction, and you're gonna wait until you start to push back in the right direction. And I get that. We're gonna look at Keith's liquidation map that he sent me because I just seen I got a message through the email. Ooh, CoinAct. That's the one that I liked. I forgot what it was called. Thank you for sending that. Love it. I like CoinAct too. Ooh. Okay, so this is Bybit. This is their liquidation zones for IOTA. Now, can we get... I think it's just you got to go by exchange, which is fine. At least we can see it through IOTA standpoint, though. Because it's hard, because not a lot of people use IOTA. So, low leverage is about 1.05. High leverage is getting up there. So, I mean, you've got more liquidation that's being tapped up here for sure, but I think you've got a more confined space. But it's all going to depend how we shift here. We definitely have a little bit that could be tapped up here. We got more confined, higher level, we've got higher leverage liquidations that can happen obviously across the board. But let's see where we go in let me see this in the daily real quick. Ooh. See, in the daily, it's suggesting that we could tug a little bit lower and tap that liquidity zone. See, that's a little different because even when you looked at it in the higher time frame, it made it look like we could go like the 20-cent zone. That's pretty mixed when you go into the weekly. between 15 and 20. But when you go into the daily, you can definitely see that 16 cent area becomes a big area of like interesting. Yeah, no, it can translate. At least you're seeing it on an exchange. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. At least we're seeing it. At least we're seeing it through an exchange purposes. But yeah, that's with IOTA. So a little bit of, it's a little bit of a tug back and forth there too between that 16 to 20 cent area. So I can promise you guys one thing. I know it gets hard. We've been here many, many times. Many, many times when the interest dies down and the overall appeal isn't there. But I promise you, every single time this happens, this market, after it finds its threshold, always comes out stronger. And the ones who stick around always come out way ahead. And it's just a shame that it goes through the same cycle every single time. It's pretty interesting. Ben B, welcome in. And Greg Carlson, thank you so much for being in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Jan, welcome in. And thanks for continuing to be a very big part of the show in Tom's Army for several years. I greatly, greatly appreciate it, Jan. So very much. So very much. Ellis, welcome in. Let's see. And Jan, thank you for being a very trusted mod as well. It's over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands badge. You've been in Tom's Army. I greatly appreciate that continued support. I really, really do. It means a lot to me. All of you mean a lot to me. All of the support. Everybody who tries to stay in here and try to figure out what the hell is going on. When we're going to push back towards that $5 range. Because eventually we will finish out this pattern setup. And we're going to eventually hit our targets that we're meant to hit above. It just takes time. We're going through the consolidations right now. It does take a lot of time. We've been in these patterns for a very long time, so it's all about patience. If you're patient enough to sit through and watch these consolidations over the years, as you can see past setups and just the patterns as I went through different charts. I mean, if you got through the 7-year consolidation, this should be nothing. And thank you, Jan, for 45 months in Tom's Army. Unbelievable support. Unbelievable support. It's truly unbelievable. It is. Unbelievable. It's really inspiring, too, to see all of you here. It's really inspiring. Trump spoke at UN. Yeah, he just did. I had it on in the background. But, I mean, we're Tuesday. We'll see what kind of bounce we get. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Hopefully this live helped each and every one of you. I'm greatly appreciative of each of you that continue to follow through and be in here. I'm appreciative of everybody who's going to watch this after the live. Yesterday, the live only got about 630 views on the second live, 900 on the first live. So I'm going to have to change my fundamental approach to try to get this content out there in a more wide way. Maybe I'll have to go back to just the update in the morning with the short around noon. I mean the short, then update, or update short, and then one live a day. To get the information best out. I think that's probably what I'm going to have to do. But that's okay. We have to curb this to the best way to reach our audience. So, but I love seeing everybody here this morning. I like starting the day off by talking to everybody, seeing what everybody's thinking, seeing the general dynamic of what more of the audience is feeling. Bitcoins are at about 113K. So we're still pushing up in this exact same area as well as we've been talking about, trying to see if this rising wedge ultimately plays out. Right now we were not able to get over 115 area, so we're going to continue to see how that plays out right around 115,300 or so. But I'm liking what we're seeing here with the consolidation. I would like to see another down tug. I would love to see another downturn. But in the next 30% rally, or the next 40% rally for crypto, it's going to get packed in here. So embrace the moments where we have this ability to talk. If you have any questions, it's better to ask it now when there's 67 people than when there's 250 people, because it gets lost in the shuffle. This These were some of our funnest, and we built such a bond and closeness when we had less people watching during the lives, when it was more in a bearish moment, because we started building unity. You know, and within unity, you start to see things a little bit differently. The XRP Bitcoin pairing is up 0.5%, firmly within this pattern consolidation. So until we break out of this, we're not going to get that appreciation versus Bitcoin. And that's just something we accept, with the understanding that we are on the outside of the breakout. We're on the outside of the breakout. Now, that can either mean that we hold here at 184.9, or if it broke through here, obviously we could even come down to 555. Is that the end of the world? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And this is a great time to watch this narrative build. We watch this narrative build. And what we're doing today is building our future. We're building future self tomorrow is thanking us for sitting through the grind today, even when most choose to exit stage left, and they'll reassert themselves when it's back in the more desirable moment, when we're already bullish and pushing way up. Then they're going to start to pile in. But past self is not going to thank them because they don't have any info, and they're coming to the party late, which puts you in a very serious position to get kicked in the nuts. You know, nobody wants that. We want to be here before the rally. We want to show that passion. We want to show the overall just energy towards this sector, because there's a lot to be desired still. There's a lot to be achieved still, I promise you. There is still a lot yet to come. So if there's one thing I can tell you, it's stay passionate. Before I leave, though, obviously I need to go look at the other sector. I want to look at some of the stuff with gold, silver. So gold up another 33 bucks, as we talked about on the open. Believe it or not, some people are also unsubscribing to my channel because they're mad about my increased discussion with my gold, silver, commodities, precious metals, the mining sector. They're mad that I'm showing more of a focus on it at this moment than I was before. But I showed a lot of focus before. It just, you know, a lot of people don't care about it. I'm sorry if that makes you unsubscribe, but I have a big passion for this stuff. I have a very big passion for this stuff. And hopefully some of you appreciate this as well. So we're looking for that push up to 4,115, and it seems like we're going. Stayed on the top side of this trend line that I think needs to hold for that parabolic spike. So we're still looking fine. Weekly's overbought. But the daily is so interesting. It's still got so much space to work with. It's incredible. It's incredible. It's like this is the sector that is printing money hand over fist, and a lot of people are ignoring it. By the time they pay attention to it, it's going to be to the point where it's going to have a big consolidation. So that's looking good. Barrett Gold's up 1% at $35.72. Amazing how far it's come. Just incredible. You know, it's incredible. Yeah, we might have some consolidations back down and retest these breakouts, but it might come at a much higher level. You know, the overall pattern, we're not even to resistance yet. So, you know, there's still a lot to be, there's still a lot to be attained here. Like if you come through here, you know, we've got a lot of room still here before we can even get past where we had this, almost like this uptrending resistance that we could never get past. I mean, look where that would put you in today's terms. You're talking about $80 fucking. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Where are we buying this at, folks? 14, 15, 18, even 22 when it had that drop we bought it the last time. A couple $1,000. Because we were playing this. You have to have the same philosophy of crypto. We're playing. This is what we're building up now for the future push. And then, like, I like to know what's coming. So yeah, it might not be relevant yet, but it will at some point. At some point, we're going to have to push over this. At some point, this is probably the consolidation we're in from a grander scale. So I like to look at it in that regard. So yeah, we might have gotten over this level, but we've also created levels of resistance. And we've been in them for several decades in some cases. And Barrett Gold is one of those cases. So our next big area is going to be somewhere around there. So we continue to level up and be proud. B2 gold at $4.96, up 4.2% on the day, getting very close to that $5 levels. And I'm very happy to say that back at 260, I said I can't wait until I'm talking about this at $5 with all of you. Well, now we are, and I'm very happy to be talking about it up here. You know, it's been a long time in the making for a lot of these, a long time. And it's time. You know, it's just we're at that time in history now where it's just time, because it's not like 2021 where we went into quantitative tightening or easing, or back into quantitative tightening near 22 and 21 and went back to rate hikes. This is a very different environment. We're talking about rate cuts and quantitative easing at levels we've never seen. We're talking about $42 trillion in debt. We're talking about a devaluing of the dollar and inflation going out the yin-yang. Speaking of inflation, I'm glad I remembered this. Right now, inflation, they say it's, you know, the 4-point-something%. Over the last 5 years, a dozen eggs has gone up 170% in cost. A pound of coffee up 97%. A lot more than what they're saying the rate of inflation is. Auto insurance, 60%. Fuel and oil up 55%. Gas utilities up 54% in the last 5 years. Home prices up 51%. Transportation cost 44% more. Gasoline up 42%. Electricity 39%. 30% more expensive to eat out. Shelter costs 28% more. Used cars 27%. Groceries 25%. So just to eat, it costs a quarter more than it used to. 25% more. Family health insurance 24% if you're lucky enough to have it. New cars up 21%. So, you know, there's a lot. We need to stay ahead of inflation. That's the importance of gold, silver. And when gold and silver is going parabolic, that's why the mining stocks are so damn important. They're a very unknown and a very missed opportunity, a big missed opportunity by retail. It always is. But not by institutions. And I believe that institutions and countries right now are making up with their silver. That's why it's just going ballistic, and gold. And right now, I mean, we've got a lot of room still to work here. $5, yes, that's the first level, but this is nowhere even close. We're going to come back up here eventually where this cup started, and we're going to work our way all the way back up to 718, and then we're going to start working this. Okay, well, now we're in the cup. Let me clear out some of this since we had somebody asked a question about this, so I want to make it easier to see. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, no! Oh, shit! Whoops. Well, that's okay. For B2 Gold, maybe that was the best thing I ever did, because now we can draw this back out for anybody just watching. Let's see. I want to get my tools back out. Yeah, this is actually, I'm actually glad I did that now. Because now we can start to look at this from a symmetric, wow. Because now we can look at this all the way through. Alright, so we can look at it like that. We broke out of a very long consolidation. But I mean, it was more in a channel too. I mean, you can look at it from that perspective with B2 Gold. There's no doubt about it. I still like to look at it like this as well. We had this support wick, came through the bottom, and it started to form a bottoming effect. You know, and that's where this is going to end up giving you your first meeting point, which is what you've seen on the chart before. So that's what it ended up forming, almost in a slightly ascending fashion. Slightly ascending fashion. And then when you get through the weekly, you can start to pull this back, right? You can start to pull it back. And this is how you get it to come all the way through the formation, kind of like this, so that you can see how it's been conditional the whole way through. And we feel very safe and secure coming back through this area. It always has. So we're very safe and secure. I like that a lot. We're very safe. And now that we broke out of there, you know, it's been a long time in the making. We've been very safe in this range, folks, since 2016, besides this one peak out. So now that we broke out, we've got a couple targets that'll end up forming. One, you can come through and be like, hey, we've got the evidence like this, right? From both scenarios. Then this gets you up just a little bit. 663 roughly. But you can also look at it again and be like, okay, well, we did hit here, and we're technically coming from back here. So now we can also look at it from a slightly higher standpoint. They don't really change too much. But, you know, I hate how they did this now. They think they're doing something better. I told you, TradingView is so stupid with how they do things now. It's insane. Hate it. It was so easy before. It's like you're not supposed to keep changing it to where everything changes. That's why, let's see. 667. 712. But I always like to give it grace. Like, let's say we come back here and we back test over the next few months, right? And let's say it takes longer to break out. It's just giving you a lower threshold so that you're not waiting for something that... But if it breaks out earlier and continues, well, as we see how it broke out, well, yeah, that's why we're going to go back here, because until it's not, we've got to give ourselves the proper. So that's why we went, you know, that's why we would start here, because there hasn't been that breakdown. So if you get over that $5 level, your next big threshold, if from a longer standpoint, is 658 and 712. I mean, it's starting to get pretty awesome, is it not? So, and then you can even look at it from a different perspective and say, okay, well, we know we've got these targets. Well, we want to make sure we take the channel into account. And then, as we can see, it's going to build a slightly lower target. And that is the, this would be the immediate potential out of this. And then one could argue maybe we back test and then we finish it off. Or we try to find consolidation. So our immediate push should be out of this channel. And this is beautiful. Right around $5.95. And then we know we've got at $5 just from the past. And we had it here before, so we have to put it back. This is another thing TradingView changed, which is fucking stupid. Let's see. We're going to want to make sure we pay attention to that $5 mark. So we're just going to put a ray. Okay, we're going to put a ray across. Come on, you mother... Ha! So funny. And then it stays, see, when you go above it. There. So, we're going to want to put this ray. Well, we would like the ray to be farther across, but that's what we're going to look at. Because we want to see this $5. That $5 is where we would like to start back testing after. Such a pain in the ass. But I'm trying to show you the... Let's put a price note for anybody who comes in here later. I know we're extending this out big time, but I just want you to see how important this level is. Oh, this is so fucking stupid. Anyhow, put the call out, add text. So major resistance since 2012 with, no, wait a minute. Yeah, 2012 with parabolic intentions once $5 is broken and held. History suggest $7 plus on past breakouts, past levels. Okay. So now we know why it's so important. And if you're watching, I love this stuff. I do a lot of crypto, but I love my precious metals. I love my commodities. I love B2 gold. So this is what I see, but yeah, I think I'm gonna pretty much leave it at that. That's B2 gold, so that's what we're looking at there. And then we see silver's up 0.6%, sitting right at $44.30. Pan America silver's up 1.85%. We'll see how these consolidations go. This is how the rest of the board's going right now. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Thank you all so much. We're gonna call it a day. I hope to see you guys back. I hope to see some of you joining Tom's Army. No donations or new members of Tom's Army. Hopefully you guys continue to watch, continue to support, even if that means hit the like and share. Show YouTube Super Chats. Consider joining us on WEEX. Hit Tom's Army and join